Hello everyone, I'm Corey and we're talking Manpower. Today, I'm with Ms. Barbara Guy. She's the Chief of Civilian Career Proponency Division, Assistant Deputy Chief of Staff G1 for Civilian Personnel, and her office is located at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Ms. Guy, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey. It's a pleasure to be here.
So could you explain to me your role and responsibilities as the Chief of the Civilian Career Proponency Office?
Sure. We actually have quite a variety of responsibilities. We're responsible for the policy and guidance for all 31 career programs, overarching in support of ASA and RA. We also have oversight of the ACTES intern program, the policy piece and the resourcing piece as well. Career programs 10, 50, and 51 report directly to us. That is HR and military personnel and general administration and miscellaneous. Those three career programs, and we also are responsible for career program policy. That is the direct update and revision of AR 690-950 career program management regulation, and then any other OSD or interface that's required on the functional community side. We're responsible for that as well.
So why is this role so crucial?
This role is very crucial because it supports the Army civilian who supports the soldier, and Army civilians provide that continuity and technical support that's needed to achieve Army readiness. And prior to the establishment of this division, which now is about 3 years old, there was no centralized focused support in this effort. So decentralization caused the fact that it was very not consistent. It was very sporadic, if you will. So there was no focused effort to support the Army civilian, and that's why I think this is very important.
And so you're kind of just providing that focal point that everyone can kind of lean off and trying to be like the guy holding the light in the fog kind of thing, and everyone's kind of following behind, so to speak.
Right, the shepherd, yes.
So I understand that, and you've just said, you're involved in CP10, CP50, CP51, creating policy, kind of as that umbrella of all the career programs. So what upcoming missions and initiatives is your office currently working on?
Okay, well currently what I consider actually the most important right now that we're working is the establishment of career program metrics, because heretofore, like I just said, the division is only 3 years old, and this thought or this concept of centralized focus on career program management is just as new as that. So that being said, there was no centralized system of requirements for performance for a career program. What that means is we have 31 career programs, and they're each uniquely operating. And they operate very well, but there's no synchronization. So when we look at important things such as justifying resources, whether or not we're structured correctly or appropriately, it's hard to assess that when you've got 31 communities operating uniquely and independently and in different various modes of operation. So what we wanted to do, now that we have an updated regulation as of November 2016, we wanted to use that regulation and define baseline standards, no more than say 7 or 8 at the most, that would define for a career program that these are the standard requirements of your performance that you have to do as a career program. Meanwhile, maintaining the flexibility and uniqueness that each one of them have and doing how they want and reflecting their FCR's vision and everything, all of that still stays in place. However, there is a baseline. Because, for example, in the AR, it says you will have an ACTES plan. Well, do you have an ACTES plan? Yes or no? Has it been updated in a year? Yes or no? Just that type of stuff to help every career program have that basic sense of measurement. And the idea behind that is not to indict any career program to say, well, okay, career program XX, you're awful. You failed everything. That is not the intent of this. Intent of this is to say across the spectrum on a requirement baseline, if you're red or you're failing, then maybe there's an issue behind that. And that's what we want to look into. Is the issue that you're not resourced appropriately? Is the issue that you're not trained appropriately? You're hiring the wrong type of people for your career program proponency office. Maybe you're hiring professionals in your functional community, but they don't know how to manage a program. I mean, there are a whole lot of ways to look at it. So that's what we hope the metrics will provide us with that yardstick and that assessment tool.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a very complicated process because you have things that are so unique, like aviation is completely unrelated to installation management,
right,
but yet you still have to have some sort of guiding principles of, you still have to have these 4 or 5 following documents, and then after that everything can be kind of unique with your own training plans and those kind of things.
Yes.
So then why is it important to raise the awareness and, again, the importance of the U.S. Army Civilian Corps?
Well, I guess as I kind of stated before about civilians being the continuity and providing that consistent support to the soldier, that's why I see it as being very critical that we do that, because without providing the civilian with some type of functional perspective about what's expected of them, how they can continue to do better. It's not always about promotion so much as it is just being the best you can be. If you want to be a GS-11 from now till the year 2025, that's fine. But we Army owe you the commitment to make sure that you're relevant, to make sure that you're trained well, to make sure you're up to industry standard. That's our job. That's what we should do. We should support you that way, and that's why I think it's critical.
So we recently spoke to Mr. Ed Emden, who from Civilian Workforce Transformation. Do you work closely with him? And then if you do, how so?
Yes, we work closely together in terms of the fact that we both support the same audience. We are both supporting the Army civilians, so yes, we do. We try to stay in touch in terms of the initiative, especially when they're impacting career programs. He gets more involved with more command type issues than I do. But I like to be aware of them because usually those types of issues do seep into the career program lane at some point. Also, when he's dealing with career program issues, we rely heavily on that kind of coordination because I'm able to actually help interpret or to help publish his requirements or solicit information for him on behalf of a career program proponency role. So it kind of helps for us to be good partners.
So it's like similar mission, different sides of the coin, but a lot of cross coordination to ensure that we get a whole 360 view of the Army civilian as they grow up and develop.
Yes. Very well put. Yes.
So I know a little bit about your background. I know you've been to Germany, you've worked at AMC, and I know that you used to work here in the CP26 Proponency Office. So how have those positions helped prepare you for such an important leadership position as your current one?
Well, I think it helped prepare me because those various locations each bring a different perspective. So when you're overseas, you have that OCONUS experience. When I was at a command, I had the command experience. At headquarters, you have a headquarters experience. And all of those experiences and perspectives kind of weave together to help broaden your perspective as a leader. And I think sometimes I think leadership suffers from lack of broadening, lack of the other perspective. If you've never been outside headquarters, you don't know what it's like to be at a command level. You don't know what it's like to work for a commander in addition to headquarters, because that's a different perspective. And I think it's important that you have some knowledge of that. I think it helps you cultivate you as a leader.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of other people speak about, definitely at a headquarters level, oh, the commands don't understand what we're doing, the commands don't understand it. And then you get to talk to people at the commands and they go, well, we don't understand what headquarters is trying to do. So
right.
For someone like yourself, who's even been overseas and worked in all these different things, I can imagine how much it opens up your aperture and your purview, and you can really go, okay, I can understand both perspectives here, but we're going to try to find a way to find a balance between the two where we can move on from there. So has having, is is having manpower and force management experience, has it been very helpful for you in your current position?
Yes, absolutely. I think manpower and force management experience actually as an intern, and also as a professional also. I had to really hone my analytical skills, because manpower and force management analysts don't just look at something and say, okay, well, this is the way it is, and we just keep marching, and what does the regulation say, and we just keep going. We always ask why. And we always ask, is this the optimal way to do this? And we always look for that solution. And that's the kind of mindset I've had as a manpower force management professional, and I bring it into my current position today, because I think that is very important. And that's one of the things I think as an analyst is very, very valuable that we get as we're trained in that profession.
So what career advice do you have for an Army civilian who's looking to grow and develop their career?
Well, I would say, that you need to continue to be open to new experiences. Don't box yourself into just one. Don't become complacent. Always look for what's new and what's different, and challenge yourself. And don't be afraid to challenge yourself, because sometimes I find that, especially in the manpower field, we're trained a certain way to do certain things, and then a lot of times then when we get to the higher grades, let's say we get to 13, 14 level, we start trying to feel kind of insufficient in terms of being able to broaden out like into some other areas. But I say don't do that. Push the button, push the envelope. There is nothing out here that you can't understand or you can't learn, given the opportunity. So don't box yourself into any one area and say, well, that's all I know, that's all I can do. Oh, no, absolutely not. As long as you, like I said, have that analytical brain and you can ask why and you can figure out, you can do anything. And that's one thing I would say. And also, if you can, be open to mobility. If you can. I know some people don't have that option, but if at all possible, it doesn't even have to be geographical mobility. If it could be, that's wonderful, because it does give you a better perspective. Move around. But if you can't, then move around within where you are. If you're working at, Fort Sam, then, go from the manpower shop, go over to the budget shop, go over to the, just G1, get some varied experiences, because we all interrelate. And we have to get out of this stovepipe thinking that, well, I'm a comptroller and that's what I do and that's what I am and that's all I know. No, a comptroller could easily ascend into an HR role. There are aspects of what you do that they don't have, and vice versa. And there's aspects of what they do that we don't have. And I think we can pollinate that way, cross-pollinate.
Yeah, because CP10, CP11, and CP26 are all resource managers. Because without them, you never fill out an SF50.
Right.
So, Ms. Guy, that's all the questions I have. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I'd just like to add that I'd like our population to be aware of the fact that there is an office that exists in my division that's full of very competent, very dedicated professionals who are really working really hard to make sure that the Army civilian is predominant and is not forgotten and is relevant in all the communications that go on up here at headquarters. Sometimes that's not the case. We all know that. But we try really hard to keep us on the forefront and to make sure that you're ready and you're relevant and prepared to do whatever Army missions require.
Well, Ms. Guy, thank you for everything that you do for Army civilians on a daily basis. I know I appreciate it. I know a lot of the other civilians that I talk about appreciate it, and I can't thank you enough for what you're doing. But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey. It's been my pleasure.
So that's all we have time for right now. Stay tuned for our next episode, and until next time, have a great Army Day.